Absolutely. Here's Section I. Welcome to the seminar, with \700 words as requested. Hashtag Section I. Welcome to the seminar. The seminar hall was vast, glittering with the cold precision of advanced alien engineering. Its ceiling arched like a starfield, faux constellations blinking overhead as if to comfort the interstellar dignitaries in attendance. 50 species were represented, some in hermetically sealed pods, others in aquatic graft suspension chambers, and still others lounging in ergonomic arrays designed for exoskeletal forms. The chairs were personalized, adaptive, and vastly expensive. The event, after all, was no trivial matter. The large banner across the holographic stage shimmered in multiple languages. Efficient strategies for eliminating resilient hostile species. Case study, Homo sapiens. A ripple of laughter coursed through the crowd when the subtitle appeared beneath it. Reclaiming Galactic Order from a Primitive Menace. From row 3, Delegate Tharn watched it all with measured silence. He was listed on the official roster as a xenobiologist from the Lortari Compact, a quiet, unobtrusive star system known more for academic treaties than warfare. Tharn was tall, with a bluish hide and a crown of ridged bone. Or so it appeared. In truth, Tharn was not Tharn at all. Beneath layers of synthetic dermal mesh, neural camouflage, and a biomechanical translator that echoed thoughts in alien tongue, sat Agent Jack Mason, Earthborn and Federation-trained. A highly classified operative from the Terran Defense Corps. The only human within 100 light-years of this place. Possibly the first human ever to infiltrate a coalition meeting of this magnitude. And they had no idea. The keynote speaker took the stage with a flourish. General Scarth of the Vree Dominion, a towering, reptilian warlord with iridescent scales and a booming voice amplified by implanted subharmonics. Behind him, a projection blinked to life, displaying statistics, combat logs, and casualty graphs. "Let us begin," Scarth growled, "with the myth of human fragility." The audience chuckled. Several species emitted sounds that would send human eardrums into spasms. Laughter, presumably. They bleed easily, yes. Their bones break under modest pressure. They are bound to a gravity well. And yet, he gestured, and the slide changed to a wrecked free battlecruiser. They survive. They outlast. They adapt. Images followed in rapid sequence. Urban combat in shattered cities, humans using flamethrowers made from repurposed mining equipment, a child pulling a plasma grenade pin with his teeth. Another slide showed a herd of Terran resistance fighters charging at a stunned alien landing craft, waving outdated slug throwers and jury-rigged railguns. They had won. "They do not fight by the rules," Scarth said with contempt. "They have no honor. No central command structure. They weaponize everything: language, disease, even their own deaths." Agent Mason tilted his head slightly, recording everything through a microtransmitter hidden in his ocular nerve. The TDC back home would be eating this up, raw, unfiltered intel straight from the mouths of their enemies. "And yet," Scarth continued, "some among you have tried diplomacy." He snarled the word as if it were poison. "Peace accords. Trade attempts. Cultural exchange. Bah. Every effort ends the same: humans stealing tech, learning languages, hacking systems. They play the long game while pretending to be simple-minded apes." Another speaker took the stage, a gelatinous mass in a floating orb. It communicated through light pulses and sonar clicks, translated into speech by a Neuralink AI. "The incident on Corthus 6, it burbled. We deployed a memory alteration virus to pacify them. Within days, they reverse-engineered it and infected us. Our breeding pools were reprogrammed to recite their battle hymns." The crowd laughed again. Most assumed it was an embellishment. But Mason had heard those same hymns, sung by children in bunker schools while cities burned. He'd sung them himself once. Before the training. Before the scars. Delegate Tharn remained motionless. More presentations followed. A tech specialist from the Zal Empire showed diagrams of cyberwarfare failures. A drone commander described a failed AI incursion, where human resistance used fictional war movies to retrain alien battle algorithms into submission. And still, the drone commander rasped, we consider them primitive. Mason's neural HUD pinged silently inside his mind. A single phrase blinked in his peripheral vision. Uplink secure. Continue surveillance. Do not engage. He exhaled softly, not out of relief, but control. Every muscle trained, every breath regulated. He was surrounded by predators who thought he was just another member of the hunt. They didn't know the prey had already infiltrated the hunter's den. A beetle-like being leaned over from the neighboring row, clicking softly in its native tongue. Mason's translator rendered it as primitive but resourceful. I almost admire them. Mason offered a slight nod. Inside, he thought, you have no idea what's coming. Would you like me to continue with Section 2 now? Absolutely. Here's Section 2, The Arrogance of Empires, with /700 words, continuing the story. #, Section 2, The Arrogance of Empires. The next speaker strode, or rather, floated, onto the platform, an avian creature with jet-black feathers and golden optical nodes. Ambassador Kari of the Aeronth Combine, known for their aerial supremacy and high-orbit siege weaponry. Her voice was melodic but sharp, like talons against glass. The Aeronth once believed in surgical precision, she said, wings folding elegantly behind her. Strike from the sky. Never land. Never bleed. A tactical map spun into view above the stage. Dozens of red markers blinked across Earth's surface. We called it Project Skyfall, targeted orbital kinetic strikes on Terran population centers. Should have ended their resistance in a matter of days. She paused, tilting her head in a way that might have seemed reflective, had it not looked so predatory. But it didn't. Within 48 hours, our satellites were jammed. Our weapon systems overloaded. Our drop drones hijacked mid-flight. The projection zoomed into a scorched landscape, what had once been a city. The aerial strike had been devastating, but something was off. Makeshift barricades. Communications towers that hadn't been there before. Symbols painted across rooftops in high-contrast red. Mason recognized them instantly. Old NATO distress signals. Markers intended to draw enemy fire away from civilian shelters. The symbols had been used to fool alien targeting AIs into hitting empty buildings. Kari continued. We believed the Terrans too fragmented to coordinate a response. Yet within hours of our first strike, we received localized EMP bursts precisely timed with our fleet's maneuvering algorithms. The crowd murmured. Scarth looked visibly annoyed. They anticipated our targeting systems, she said bitterly, and turned their own cities into traps. Mason said nothing, but the corner of his mouth twitched. That operation was his. He had led the counterstrike, coordinated civilian technicians, ex-military hackers, and ex-convict engineers into repurposing hospital imaging tech and stolen alien drones into jammers. 10 hours of frantic work. Hundreds dead. But it worked. The Aeronth fleet had withdrawn, half of it in flames. And now here he was listening to them present it as a case study in caution. More speakers followed. An AI ethics specialist from the SynthMind Coalition presented data on humanity's response to automated pacification drones. Instead of surrendering, the synthesized voice intoned, they reverse-engineered our units. They strapped explosives to the chassis, used our own units to storm our command bunkers. Laughter again. Uneasy this time. A bloated, worm-like strategist took the podium next. Its translation box vibrated wetly as it spoke. We attempted a viral attack. Airborne genetic rot. We even embedded an obedience sequence in the mutagen. It paused, wriggling uncomfortably. They developed a vaccine from raw sewage and vinegar. Distributed it in beer bottles. That part wasn't even an exaggeration. Mason remembered that mission, too. A team of med students, brewery workers, and biohackers had worked round the clock. Half of them hadn't made it. But the cure had. Across the hall, murmurs of dissent began to rise. Are we to fear them, then? One delegate snarled from the back. A species of stone throwers and dirt dwellers? They are not gods, another said. Merely vicious vermin. They must be exterminated properly. A third chimed in. Not with toys or ethics. With finality. Mason's attention sharpened. This is what I needed. These were the voices he was here to identify. Not the ones who failed, but the ones still planning. His ocular implant zoomed in slightly, capturing facial patterns and biometric data. Names were paired with visuals in real time, pinging back to the uplink now quietly tethered to a stealth relay drone just outside the system. Then came the voice he'd been waiting for. We have grown too comfortable, hissed a tall, willowy figure cloaked in what looked like shadows woven into fabric. The being's species was unknown. No official record. No diplomatic background. Yet it stood at the very heart of the hall, and no one dared interrupt. The mistake, it said, is in thinking they must be fought with honor.
No.
Their culture is violence. Their biology is war. Their instincts, it paused with a sneer, make them immune to the civility of extinction. A collective shudder passed through the room. We must erase them, the speaker continued. Not conquer. Not pacify. Not study. Wipe them from genetic memory. A null seed. Already designed. Already prepared.
Gasps.
Even Scarth leaned forward. Mason's spine tightened. Asterisk, this wasn't in the data. A new weapon? A genetic eraser? Asterisk. He mentally flagged the phrase null seed and began recording at full bandwidth. The speaker didn't elaborate. The vote will be held during the final protocol tomorrow. After that, deployment begins. The crowd murmured. Approval. Some hesitation. But no open protest. Mason sat very still. But beneath his skin, synthetic adrenaline flowed. He had less than a day to sabotage the weapon, or at least expose it. His neural interface chimed once again. Status. Critical. Awaiting orders. Asterisk, asterisk. He didn't reply. Instead, he reviewed the faces again. There were now 9 confirmed faction leaders ready to vote for humanity's extinction. One more, and the majority threshold would be met. Mason's mission had changed. Observation was no longer enough. He'd need to act. Let me know when you're ready for Section 3. Absolutely. Here's Section 3. The seminar turns dark, with \700 words as requested. ## Section 3. The seminar turns dark. The room dimmed as the final presentation of the day began. A cold, sterile blue light washed over the chamber, and the atmosphere shifted from condescending amusement to clinical malice. A new figure ascended the stage, tall, skeletal, encased in a semi-transparent armor of latticework crystal and shifting light. No one clapped. No one whispered. Even Scarth, who had mocked every other species so far, leaned forward with the respect one gives to a scalpel right before it cuts. The being's voice echoed not through speakers, but directly into the minds of those present. I am Zelthuri of the Obelith Continuum. The voice rang, thin and frigid. We do not war. We do not conquer. We cleanse. Mason had read about the Obelith. No images. No confirmed sightings. Some thought they were extinct. Others whispered they were the reason entire sectors had gone silent. According to fragmented records, their appearance in diplomatic spaces was unprecedented. This was no longer a conference, it was a tribunal. The null seed is complete, Zelthuri declared. A genetic entropy cascade designed to target and unravel Homo sapiens' DNA, mitochondrial and nuclear. It does not kill and fire. It does not cause pain. It simply forgets them. A diagram unfolded midair. Elegant. Chilling. A protein seed introduced into Earth's atmosphere via a microdispenser array. Within hours, it would bind to human genetic markers, triggering rapid cellular decomposition at the chromosomal level. There would be no screams. No bodies. Just erasure. Gasps rippled through the audience. Is it species-specific? Asked a delegate from the Crystalline Mirac Consortium. Yes, replied Zelthuri. Humans only. It has been modeled on trillions of samples collected across Terran incursions. Zero collateral projection. No planetary damage. Only biological nullification. A few in the room nodded in admiration. Others looked uneasy, not because of the ethics, but because such a weapon could theoretically be retarget. Mason's heart pounded, though his external pulse remained calm. He had heard rumors of such a device, but the TDC thought it a bluff, a scare tactic, not real.
But this?
This was no theory. He began moving. Subtle, careful gestures with his right hand beneath the table. He slid a fingertip across his thigh, activating a stealth-coded command embedded in the fake flesh. An invisible pulse left his body, hijacking the hall's auxiliary projector systems. The goal wasn't sabotage yet, just access. The holograms flickered imperceptibly, giving him a few seconds of hidden control to scan the null seed structure and store it in his uplink. The biologic code, the dispersal method, even the timing sequence, all of it was priceless. It could save Earth, if he could get it out in time. Suddenly, a piercing alarm shrieked across the hall. A tall, insectoid technician near the rear of the chamber snapped upright. Unauthorized data divergence detected. Source: Auditorium Quadrant 3. Mason froze. Every eye in the room turned toward his section. His seat, row 3. 3 adjacent delegates instantly retracted into their battle shells. A shadowy reptilian spun its eye cluster toward him. He did not move. Did not twitch. Asterisk breathe. Just breathe. You're still masked. Still invisible. Asterisk. Which delegate is Tharn of Lortari? The technician demanded. Scarth narrowed his eyes. Mason slowly stood, keeping his gestures deliberate and calm. I am, he said in a perfect mimicry of the Lortari dialect. What is the accusation? The signal came from your row. I detected no intrusion, Mason said smoothly. Perhaps your system misread an electromagnetic echo from my translator. Lortari units are known to interfere with neural bands. The technician looked uncertain. Scarth, however, did not. He rose to his full height, hissing low. Prove your identity. Open your visor. That was it. The moment. No bluff would last through a full biometric scan. Mason's neural HUD blazed red. Extraction option available. Initiate disruption protocol? Asterisk asterisk. He blinked twice.
Confirm.
Under his seat, a compressed node cracked open, flooding the hall with a burst of reactive smoke laced with optically disruptive nanites. The entire auditorium flickered as projectors, sensors, and visual receptors shorted. Chaos erupted. Mason ripped away his false flesh, his human face emerging from beneath the disguise like a ghost rising from ashes. Delegates screamed, some in fury, others in awe. He vaulted over the row railing and rolled to cover as plasma fire seared the air behind him. From his wrist, he activated a beacon. Asterisk asterisk Bravo team, confirm lock. I'm exposed. Engage disruptor and prepare for uplink dump. We're out of time. Asterisk asterisk. The room was still scrambling as a second alarm blared, this one far louder, deeper. External. The cloaked human fleet had arrived. 12 ships shimmered into visibility above the planet, weapons armed, but not yet fired. A single message burst across every alien channel in every known language. Cease all hostile action. Delegate Mason is under Terran protection. Your actions have been recorded. Stand down or be engaged.
Panic.
Delegates scattered. Some reached for weapons. Others for escape pods. Mason ducked behind a collapsed podium, voice calm through the implant. Uplink secure. We've got the null seed data. Mark all aggressors for surveillance and disengage. Through the smoke, Zelthuri stood unmoved. You think this changes the outcome, human? Mason turned toward him, eyes cold.
No.
I think it resets the board. Let me know when you're ready for Section 4, Humanity Answers. Absolutely. Here's Section 4, Humanity Answers, with \700 words, wrapping up the story. Hashtag Section 4, Humanity Answers. The conference chamber lay in ruins. What minutes before had been a diplomatic theater of condescension and extermination was now a war zone drenched in smoke and tension. The delegates were scattered, some huddled in protective shells, others scrambling for their personal guards or escape routes. The grand illusion of galactic superiority had been shattered by one man, Agent Jack Mason.
Human.
Uninvited, unwanted, and absolutely unavoidable. Outside the structure, in high orbit, 12 sleek Terran stealth warships formed a silent ring around the planet. Black as the void, their hulls bore no markings, no nation flags, only the sigil of Earth's United Defense Fleet, a phoenix rising from a cratered Earth, wings made of shattered steel. The humans had come. On the ground, Mason advanced through the disoriented crowd, plasma pistol drawn but lowered. The nanite mist clung to him like a cloak, still scrambling visual sensors and tracking pulses. His every step was recorded, broadcast to the fleet, to command, and soon, to the rest of the galaxy. "Let's make something clear," he said over the central intercom, his voice now amplified across the still-smoking auditorium. This wasn't infiltration. This was invitation. Delegates froze. Slowly, they turned toward him. Mason's tone was calm, almost conversational. "You've spent years studying us, killing us, labeling us dangerous because we don't play by your rules, because we adapt, because we fight like our lives actually mean something." He stopped in the center of the hall, where Zelthuri still stood unmoved. "You thought we were outliers. Primitive. You held this seminar to erase us from the universe, like we're bacteria in your petri dish." He lifted a small, silver device, a spherical projector now glowing faintly. "So I thought I'd bring my own slides." A new projection flickered to life. Not battle reports or casualty graphs, but faces. Human faces. Engineers, soldiers, children. Rescuers pulling alien survivors from wreckage. Human doctors treating alien prisoners. Photos of Terrans rebuilding cities destroyed in invasions. Asterisk, asterisk, not just their own, but yours. Asterisk, asterisk. Gasps echoed around the room. "You call us dangerous," Mason continued, "but what you really fear is that we don't give up. You fear that we remember, that we learn. You gave us war, and we turned it into strategy. You gave us grief, and we turned it into resolve." The projection shifted. Images of captured enemy technology, now retrofitted with human modifications. Fighter ships rebuilt with scavenged parts. AI systems reprogrammed to speak Earth's dead languages. "You tried to wipe us out with viral entropy," he said, voice hardening. "Now we own your blueprint. Our scientists are already crafting a counteragent. In a week, the null seed won't just be useless, it'll be ours." Zelthuri stepped forward. "You cannot win a war of extermination." "We're not trying to win one," Mason replied, gaze unflinching. "We're ending it." He turned to the delegates. "Earth has stood alone for decades. We begged for peace, for respect. You gave us fire. And now you wonder why we bite when cornered." A new voice crackled over the chamber's speaker system, deep, weathered, and unmistakably human. Admiral Arya Solon, Supreme Commander of the Terran Defense Coalition. "To the Galactic Assembly, you have violated the concord of sentience by plotting genocide against a living, spacefaring species. Effective immediately, Earth declares diplomatic retaliation under Article 9 of the Sovereign Defense Accords." A moment of stunned silence. Most delegates didn't even know Earth had access to Article 9. They assumed it was theoretical. Admiral Solon continued. "We do not seek conquest. We do not want colonies. But we will not be erased. Any further aggression will be met with direct, calculated, and overwhelming resistance. We suggest you reconsider your alliances and your assumptions." Mason let the words settle. Then, quietly, he looked at each representative. "You thought this was your seminar on how to kill us. Surprise." He holstered his weapon. "This was our lesson on why you shouldn't try." Zelthuri's voice slithered into the air. "This changes nothing. Empires do not bow to cockroaches." Mason gave a slow smile. "Empires fall, though. And the cockroaches? We survive." Another beat passed. Then, without warning, the Terran ships above pulsed once. Not a shot fired, but a precise, deliberate detonation of a localized EMP blast. The alien planetary defense grid, already partially compromised, went dark. A gentle reminder. No one spoke. One by one, the delegates began to withdraw. Quietly, quickly, some visibly shaken. The great coalition of galactic species, so confident in its hierarchy, now left the hall with their illusions burned and their strategy exposed. Zelthuri lingered. You cannot stop what's coming. Mason stepped up to him. No, he said. But we are what's coming. With that, he turned and walked out, boots echoing in the hollow chamber, past cracked marble and flickering projectors, past burned flags and scattered data pads. Back aboard the shuttle. Mason exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. The pilot, another human agent, glanced at him. That go how you planned it? Mason stared out the viewport as the alien planet grew smaller. Better. They know we're not prey anymore. He tapped a final command on his uplink and sent the full null seed data to Earth's high command. Then he added one last line. They held a seminar about killing us. They forgot we take notes. The end. Let me know if you'd like a compiled version, a title image, or even an audiobook-style narration.